Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about the Fulton Special Grand Jury Report, or those few snippets of it that were released today pursuant to the order of the judge from Monday. So remember the whole brouhaha. The special grand jury said we'd like to have this released if we could. Georgia law seemed to suggest that it had to be released. The judge took a couple weeks and came out with opinion saying, yep, it says it has to be released, but having given with that special provision of Georgia law involving reports, he took away with a constitutional analysis under the state due process clause that basically said anybody who's named, everybody who's named in the report didn't get to have their own lawyers there, or weren't able to, in some cases, be there at all and weren't able to defend themselves. Therefore, it would violate due process to name them now. Therefore, we're only going to do the introduction, conclusion, and one little section. And we knew even from that opinion that the special grand jury had, as the DA, Fani Willis, had requested, just march through in, I think, what we know to be 8 sections of a long report, and went through the evidence on many different people. To my count, maybe 15, 18, and gave indictment recommendations. But the court said, we're going to, anything that has names, we're not going to release, but we will release the introduction, conclusion, and a section involving stating concerns by the special grand jury that some people may have committed perjury. So we've been speculating about it and waiting in the last few days and wondering how little could it be? I mean, could it really be that it's just, this is the intro, the report follows, and the conclusion is, that was the report, thanks for the service or whatever. Couldn't be that threadbare, that silly, could it? And the answer is not quite, but pretty damn close. The headline is, there's almost nothing that these sections reveal. So the introduction has a teeny bit. It just goes through, here's what we did, here's when we met, here's when we were selected, here's our report, we give our recommendations, etc. All things that, of course, we knew it had to be the case. Then there is one little sentence at the end where they say, we find by a unanimous vote. That's noteworthy. Grand juries don't have to be unanimous, so when they recommend charges, that no widespread fraud took place in the Georgia 2020 presidential election that could result in overturning that election. If you think about it, that's not big news. First, it's like a fact, it's almost like, what the weather was, but also they couldn't be recommending charges without having found that, because that's the linchpin of solicitation to commit election fraud and the like. If it actually had been everything that Trump said, then, the intent would be completely different. So it's a bit of it's a teeny bit of, red meat, but just a morsel, and doesn't tell us anything we really didn't know. Now, the section where they express concerns is one sentence. A majority of the grand jury, so not unanimous, believes that perjury may have been committed by one or more witnesses testifying before it, and the grand jury recommends the district court seek appropriate indictments where the evidence is compelling. Again, given what we had known from Monday, that they were going to include this section, kind of couldn't be less, right? Some members of the grand jury think there was perjury. And then the conclusion is really perfectly empty. Just says, thank you. Want to acknowledge the hardworking attorneys and etc. And we did our best, and thanks, and it's blah, blah, blah. So precious little in there. It's almost on the verge of comic to me. He goes through this big thing in 2 weeks, and then he says, well, we're going to release a few sections, and they are almost perfectly content free, not quite. And they will definitely keep commentators kind of fly specking and trying to squeeze for whatever they can, but there just ain't much there. So this means it really all stays with the district attorney, who has in the last few days made a kind of a move that if you haven't heard about it, it's a little bit squirrely, it seems to me. She had said during the hearing on this very question of whether to release the grand jury report, she had said charges are imminent. And a reporter came up to her to ask about that a couple of days ago, and she said, I mean legally imminent, not journalistically imminent or what. So legally imminent. Sports fans, that's not a phrase. We don't know what that means, except she's saying, if you combine that with the well-known adage, the wheels of justice grind slow, legally imminent could be, anything from, it could just extend weeks and more. And she's obviously still getting her ducks in a row here. So I hold to the view she's going to be first. And I hold to the view she will not be first to the finish line. That's a whole different set of considerations about the case and what it entails. But she's given herself now the breathing room, although I think she'll take some political heat. What do you mean already? You said imminent. But she's given herself the breathing room, and now there's no worry, as had been a pretty big concern. What if they had actually revealed some important stuff? Then she would have forced her hand to adopt recommendations or not in short order. So that's what we've got. We're back a little bit to holding our breath in Fulton County, and we are only slightly the wiser and more knowledgeable for the sections of the report that the judge permitted to issue today. So we're going to have to stay tuned, see what happens here. Hey, if you are enjoying these YouTubes, would urge you or ask you humbly to subscribe. It helps us a lot, and we're a completely independent operation. But back to Fulton County, more clearly to come, and soon, but it'll come from Fonnie Willis. When it does, we'll be there. Until then, talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.